this looks good.
It looks good. I like it.
Welcome to Soul Seekers TV. I'm one of your soul guides, Patricia Rivera-Wolfson, and Linda is having a sip of her
I am your
Starbucks.
other soul guide, Linda Krause Barnett. Sorry, my mouth is so dry.
That's okay, totally. So we are super excited to be here. This week's principle was called the Einstein principle. Oh, and maybe for those of you who are just watching us for the first time, to let you know what we're doing, we are Soul Seekers TV, and we are doing 9 energy experiments to prove your thoughts create your reality, as per Pam Groud's book, E Squared. Yes, just like Einstein's theory. And in fact, this week's principle is called the Einstein principle, and it was an actual physical experiment to prove that you can shift the energy around your body, and just by thinking thoughts. And so Linda actually demonstrated this experiment. Linda, you want to give people just a quick little chat about that before we move on to the results?
Yes, I do. I was just blown away. I hadn't had as much experience with it as you had, and to have it work. So those of you who watched will have seen it already. Those of you who haven't, I highly recommend you going back to see it. But the gist of it, was that closed negative thoughts constrict your energy, and therefore the way to see that is the tips of the hangers touch and come in and kind of get close and tight. And then as you open the energy to positivity, then the hangers opened wide. And we also did some directional thoughts just to prove that your energy goes where the mind takes it. So I did some work of thinking about the roses to my right, and woo, the hanger shifted to the right, like literally swung to the right. So it was a way to just, in my opinion, and I can't speak for Pam Grout, but what I got out of it, my takeaway from that experiment was just a real life, tangible, hardcore, I can hold it, touch it, see it, evidence that where my thoughts are directed is where my life is taking me. And that was really powerful, because we are beings that tend to distrust, for the most part, things that we can't see. And so she is trying to bring it into our physical realm so that we can see it. And if we see it, then maybe we can believe it a little bit stronger.
Now, when Linda showed the experiment, we were able to see her results, and we'd really love for you guys to share with us your own personal results. If you've had any results, please share them with us. You can either come, onto the video, comment, or if you're watching this in a replay, then by all means comment and let us know what your experience was. But I also wanted to take this time, since we saw that this experiment actually does work, and I've done a lot of work with this on my own, because this is one of the things I'm super passionate about, is actually seeing how my energetic thoughts can change my reality. I wanted to take a moment, also in honor of World Mental Health Day. Well, I don't know if it's World Mental Health Day, but it's a mental health day. And I wanted to, it's a mental health day every day. But I wanted to share one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about the work that we're doing. Soul Seekers TV is so much fun, and I love working with Linda. And like the whole thing was like, what can we do that's really fun, that's also, connected to our
purpose,
mutual passion and our purpose, which
yes,
definitely all of this meets that. But the other reason, and a very deeply personal reason, is because this work literally saved my life. So those of you who know me may already know this story. Those of you who don't, this is going to be a new story. But when I was in my late 20s, like 28-ish, 29, I think 28, I went through, actually it was probably starting at 27, I went through a really, really deep depression. The kind that I cried every single day, and my life was a mess. and it was chaotic. And I was living in New York at the time, and I actually moved back home. It was right after 9/11, and I was in New York not knowing what direction to go in my life. And I was, I went home to sort of heal myself. And I woke up every morning crying, and I went to go see someone. And the person that I went to go see a doctor, and he wanted to put me on medication. And at the time, I was considering it, but I didn't want to go on medication yet. I wanted to see what I could do for myself first before I went to that option. Hi, Eleanor. So glad that you're here. So what happened was, I started thinking about it, and I kept asking for help, and not knowing who I was asking for. I had faith at that time, but I didn't believe the same way that I believe now, that the universe is always listening. But I would put it out there, and I just asked. I was like, please, I need help. I need guidance. Like, I need to fix this. I felt broken, and I didn't know how to fix it. And I remember waking up one day, and I got this image in my head, and I was like, my magnets are switched. And I literally envisioned that my body was made up of magnets, and they were faced the wrong way. Like, I was attracting, because that's how I saw it, I was attracting negativity. I was attracting drama in my relationships, in my life, with my job, like everything. And I was like, I just need to figure out how to switch my magnets. Now, I recently learned that this is actually a thing, that you can reverse your polarity, where you're saying yes when you mean no and no when you mean yes, but that's a topic for another day. But at the time, all I knew was that I was like, I need to learn how to manage my energy. And I literally said, I need to learn about energy management. So right around that time, as the universe always guides you, my eventual roommate from New York, my friend Greg, reached out to me, and he's like, I know you haven't been feeling great. Let's go to Memphis. Let's go see Memphis in May, which was, blues festival. And so we went to go see my friend Anthony Gomes. And when I got to Memphis, I turned to my friend Greg, and I was like, I need to learn how to manage my energy. I need to learn about energy management. Well, at the end of our week together, he flew back to New York. I flew back to Toronto. And on the plane, he sits next to this woman who's reading a book called Vibrational Medicine. Well, to make a long story short, Greg ended up talking to this woman, and she had written a book. I kid you not. She wrote a book called Energy Management. Her name is Barbara Gray. And I was like, and he came home and he called me and he told me this, and he's like, clearly this was a message for you. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
He was like your personal mailman.
He was like my mailman from the universe.
Yeah.
And I purchased that book, and I started to really, and I learned this stuff that we're talking about, this stuff that we're teaching you is the stuff that I learned. And I slowly, step by step, started to apply the things that I was learning. And at the same time, of course, I met someone in Toronto who kept guiding me in the right direction. And he told me about a book called If Life is a Game, These Are the Rules. And every time I would like go into some trigger, and I would start to get angry or whatever it was, he would mention one of the rules to me. And he really helped me. Was my phone. He really helped me shift. And that was in May. And by November, I made the choice to move back to New York. By April, I met my husband, and my life literally changed. Now, I'm telling this not because, it's this beautiful story, which it was.
Hi, Mary. Hi, Mary. That just made me so happy.
I know. And this is for you, Mary. You came at this time. I'm telling you this, and we're doing this work not just because it's fun, not just because it's cute and it's all light and airy-fairy. I'm telling you this because it literally saved my life. Not only did it save my life before, it saves my life every day, because I apply these principles and I remind myself of these principles every day when I'm having a rough time. Depression does not discriminate. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're doing great in life financially or otherwise. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter anything about your life. You can be depressed. You can
Yep.
be in the depths of despair. You can want to just step out of it all. And I'm here to tell you that the work that we're doing here and the work that I have done has kept me breathing and living and reminding myself that there is a greater purpose and that I do have some control. And my control, our control, is in our perspective. Our control is in our thoughts. And not to the point where you need to be panicked about every thought that you have, where you're policing your thoughts and you feel paralyzed because you're like, oh my God, I had a terrible thought. I'm going to bring terrible things into my life. It does not mean that. What it means is to be able to embrace the human experience and allow yourself to flow through anxiety and frustration and depression, and know that you are going to have another side, that there is a way for you to get through this, that there is a life vest that you can put on that will help you get up in the morning and get past that terrible moment. You are going to have terrible moments. I don't care if you're the friggin' Dalai Lama. He has terrible moments. But it is in the practice of understanding your power that you can get through the tough times. You can get through the frustration, the depression, the anxiety, the overwhelm, the feeling of despair. There are days that I still feel despair. But it is these lessons and this work that reminds me that I have some control over what comes to me. And so I just really wanted to share that with you. I didn't mean to get all heavy, but I feel really, really strongly about this work, not just because it's airy-fairy, but because I truly believe it saves lives. I've seen it change my life, my own life, and I've seen it change the lives of my clients, and I've seen it change the lives of people in my life. And I want to help you and support you and give you the tools for you to be able to do that for your own life if that's something that you need. And maybe you're listening to this and this is exactly what you need to hear right now. Exactly. Exactly. And Mary always choose to laugh about it. And we took that Lynn and I took that laughing class, and that was like the one greatest lesson, right?
100%, 100%. And I think what you said something that I just want to touch back on, and you said, it's not like you're policing your thoughts, because what I feel like hangs heavy is, for me, like you said, I've had really great moments on the same exact days that I've had some of the worst moments of my life, right? So it wasn't a bad day and it wasn't a good day, but those days have coexisted, where like I've gone from literally the saddest moment to hours later seeing something and noticing something that caused me great joy. So we navigate through these ups and downs moment by moment, whether we're depressed for long extended periods of time, as some of us experience, or sadness that ebbs and tides throughout your day. I don't always wake up with the energy I want or the vibration I want. And sometimes I go to bed with that. And sometimes I've changed it around for myself by the time I go to bed. But so the thing here is that it could be moment to moment. We have the power in the next moment to change it. And sometimes, as you and I have talked about, those moments go on, and you're like, shit, I just don't want to feel bad anymore. And it takes a while to purge, but by taking control there's such a difference in how we perceive the word control, right? Like sometimes It just feels like so like a prisoner and tight, and I'm going to control my thoughts, and everything is kind of harsh about that. But there's a controlling energy, if we reframe it, that can be soft, like I am the one who's creating. So creation is now your new word for control. I'm not controlling my thoughts. I'm creating the world I want to live in by being mindful of my thoughts. And just putting those words to it takes so much of the rough off, and it takes so much of the pressure off. So that's what these experiments kind of, I think, are leading me and guiding me to understand, is that on any moment that I'm feeling that constriction, I can choose to kind of put my thoughts in a new area. And I think what has been helping for me is the power of imagination. When I watch my kids and I watch them get really upset, like, we'll get into an argument and my son storms off into his room, but it doesn't take him very long to come out and he's like, "Oh, Mom, can I have something to eat? Can I have a snack?" And I'm like, still mad, and I contrast the relationship, the intimate relationships I have with grownups to the relationships that I have with my kids. And they're like, moving on, that happened, but I've shifted my energy and now I'm ready to snack and watch TV and it's over. And I don't think that as adults, we are as good at kind of transitioning between the highs and lows, and between the thoughts that are negative tend to keep us captive. And I think that if we say, look, this was a terrible moment, I accept that, or this was, I feel really crappy right now, but I'm not going to let you take hold and capture my whole day. I am going to imagine that in this next moment, I'm going to get a great surprise, or I'm going to picture myself at peace, or I'm going to take myself to a peaceful place or sit in my backyard. And you can begin to feel that transition, and that, like, you know what? That crappy ass moment does not have to create the rest of my day. And it's not easy. None of it is intended to be easy. And although we're bringing as much fun to it as possible, I respect what you said. Like, the fact that it saved your life is nothing to laugh at. That's big and it's important. And there's lots of people out there in the world, whether they're watching us right now or not, who are looking for that life vest. Like, help me, I need out of this suffocation.
Yes.
And so whatever tools you use to kind of get yourself out, that's the key. And it doesn't have to be the same tools for everybody. But I think the thing that we all have in common, like you said it, depression doesn't discriminate. Joy doesn't discriminate. None of the life experiences discriminate. None of them, not the good or the bad. So what's great is that everybody has thoughts. We all have that in common as humanity, right? And so, wow, I don't need a magic wand. I don't need to be a person who has a lot of money. It's like this great equalizer, right? All I need to do is understand that the thoughts I have will lead to my next experience in life. So what do I want my next experience to be? My next moment. I'm the kind of girl who, when I think too far ahead, I get really stressed, because I was like, I know what I want.
That's called anxiety.
Yeah. Hello. If anybody's watching who knows me, they know my journey with anxiety. But part of the reason I've suffered with anxiety, it hasn't been per se depression, but it has been anxiety, is because I think so far out. I think about, I'm not there yet. I'm 44. I'm not there yet. I thought it when I was 30. I'm 35. I'm 44. Oh my God, shit. In February, I'm going to be 45 and I'm not there yet. Where am I not? Like, I'm right here. And so the power to know that if I'm thinking, I'm creating, period. It's that simple. If I'm thinking, I'm creating.
I love that. Hold on, we got to write that down. If I'm thinking, I'm creating. And also, I just want to go 2 seconds, because I watched Wonder last night, and I was just telling you, I watched Wonder, and Mary actually put a Pretty Woman quote on, which I need to, like, the Pretty Woman quote was, "The bad stuff is easier to believe," which I thought was fantastic. But, Julia Roberts was also in Wonder. And in that movie, Augie says, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, it's definitely worth watching. He says, "My mom always told me," and his mom is Julia Roberts, "that if you don't like where you are, imagine where you'd like to be." And that really hit me as part of this entire experience. If you don't like where you are, imagine where you'd like to be in the present moment. And that energy, will fuel your next moves, your next thoughts, and be like, how am I going to get there? Like, this is where I want to be. How can I make that happen? And Mary, thank you. If I'm thinking I'm creating, I know, I love it. I love it.
Exactly. And I think for planaholics and for people like us, and I know you're like this, so there's no getting out of it, Trish. But
No.
we want, and we've really been so crucial to each other's lives in kind of rewriting the script of this. And Soul Seekers TV has really benefited, or is benefiting from that. And it's the concept that, like, I don't need to sit right here in this moment and figure out the next 5 years of my life, because that's a lot of pressure, but I'm going to imagine, I think that's why vision boards work. I'm going to imagine what I want it to be. I'm going to imagine how it's going to feel 5 years from now. I don't need to figure out how to get there, because I don't freaking know how to get there. And that is not my job. If I've understood everything from the books that we're reading and the mass, when you're looking for answers, you consume and consume, and you watch and you read, and you're like, where are you, answer? Where are you? Come to my... And what I'm learning is it all says the same thing with different words. And what it says is, generally, I'm definitely generalizing, but the basic concept is, feel it. Imagine it so clearly. And kids are great at this. That's all you have to do is remember when we used to pretend play and imagine. My son has these superhero wars, and I swear he teleports because he's so into them. And he does the sound effects, and he's like, pew, pew, I'm going to get you. And it's like, wow, that is so hard to do as a grown-up. It's so hard to pretend your way into something. But if you can close your eyes and picture what it's going to look like and what it's going to feel like, and let that joy just permeate, and then release it, and then say, okay, well, right now I'm just worried about this very next moment, this one foot in front of the other. And what we don't realize, what the book is trying to teach us, what the cosmos are trying to tell us, in my opinion, my very humble opinion, is that once you've felt it to your core and let it go, it will handle how to bring it to you, and you don't need to worry about that.
And if I may piggyback on that,
please.
Part of this, like looking for the signs and opening yourself up to the miracles and the blessings, part of that is to open yourself up to knowing that you're in alignment and getting that little nod from the universe. And that's why I say, like, this is life-saving work. Because some days when you're having a crappy ass day and you asked for a rainbow or a peacock or whatever, right? And you didn't get it on that day, but the day that and this happened to me with a blue jay, and I remember asking to see a blue jay, and I went like weeks and maybe even months without seeing one. And one day I was and this was like 2 years ago, I was crying, and I don't even remember what I was crying about, but it was a really big thing for me. And I remember that I was very upset about something that had happened, and an old wound came up, and I was crying, and I was like, I just felt complete despair, and it was pouring outside, so the weather reflected my feelings.
Hi, Kim.
And, hi, and hi, Lisa. All of a sudden, I felt this, like I heard this chirping, and it's pouring rain. I hear this chirping. I look in my backyard, and on the freaking telephone wire was a blue jay. And then I broke down in tears with joy, because I was like, that's the sign. And it came at I knew the moment I needed that sign. Like, I knew as soon as I saw the blue jay that it was like the universe saying, like, you got this. And even today, and like the weekend is ebbed and flowed, but today I found a feather out of the blue underneath my kitchen table. Like, there was no pillow around there. There was I don't know where it came from, but there's days when I'm walking and it just happens to catch my eye, these little signs that I know is the universe saying, like, keep going. And some days the sign will mean different things. Some days the same sign, the same feather, one day will be
Yes.
keep going. And another day will be you got this. Or another day it'll be like
Stop.
Stop.
Yeah.
And just pause.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Absolutely. And I was telling Trish a story earlier about, Trish and I laugh because she is the girl who sees signs and everything. And I'm the girl who like questions her everything. I'm just definitely a rebel with a cause. And so I'm always like, oh, really? Show me more. Tell me more. Stronger. And so I was coming out of the bank yesterday, or the day before yesterday, actually, and there was this huge truck, like a delivery truck, parked on the side of the bank, which I couldn't see from where I was parked. So I back out of my parking space and I go to turn the corner in a much higher speed than I should have been. Nonetheless, as I curve the corner, there's a guy, the driver of the truck, standing right on the street side of the truck. So I had to consciously slow down and make sure I didn't hit him. So I stopped and I rolled down my windows and I'm like, hey, it's a good thing for you. I'm a really great driver. And he looks at me and makes like deep eye contact. And he's like, I had complete faith in you. I knew you would be great. And it was like, wow. It's such a subtlety, but for me, it was like everything about what he said and the eye contact he made. And guess what, guys? It doesn't matter if someone else thinks your signs are signs because they're meant for you. So the only thing that's important is that you think it's a sign. If it was somebody else's sign, then it would be clear for them. So don't, I tend to look for approval. Trish, was it a sign? Do you think he was really talking to me? It doesn't matter. If it's meant for me and I felt like it, then it was received by me. And so you don't need approval from someone because how will they know what your sign was,
Yes. And, there's something about that too, where people are like, well, you're just thinking everything is a sign. It's like, yes. And what harm is there? Like, even if this is complete and utter bullshit, okay? And I'm going to say it if you're a skeptic and you're like, this is all fucking bullshit. Okay, let's say it's bullshit. Who feels better? The person who naysays every potential sign and just like, this is all bullshit, we're just living in the dregs of the earth and we're all just going to die miserable, or the person who sees possibility in everything? And you can choose who you want to be. And there's nothing wrong with choosing what makes you feel comfortable. But I can tell you, for me and for the people in my life, I know that feeling like everything is a sign and that everything is a miracle, and seeing the evidence in my life that I have a purpose and that I feel like a part of this big cosmic plan, that feels much better in my heart than thinking that I'm living in a world where it's just death and destruction. And I think the more people that feel like I'm here for the greater good, a grander purpose, and I see beauty everywhere in everyone, and even in people I disagree with, I send them love. I think that for me feels productive. It feels like being a part of a grand community on this earth.
Absolutely.
And I want to be part of it.
And that's when they talk about the vortex, they talk about the source and the field. Abraham Hicks and Esther Hicks talk about the vortex. Pam Grout talks about the field. We're all talking about the same thing. We call it, some call it God, some call it source. It doesn't matter what you name it. The fact of the matter is that there are forces at play with far greater intelligence that we come from, right? And that we have to acknowledge our worthiness and our divinity. And we have to say, I come from greatness, therefore I am great. And you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and human connection is such a part of what makes us feel great. But here's the thing. I think we've messed it up because human connection is meant to connect you. It's meant for you to be you and for me to be me, and for that interaction between us to bring us joy or to bring us a lesson or to bring us depth, right? by interacting with each other, we're creating something for ourselves. But the human interaction, I don't believe, and I'm learning it as I speak it right now, was never intended or created to make you question your self-worth and your value and who you are and what you've brought to this planet. My interaction with you is never supposed to make me question that. It's supposed to enhance me. It's supposed to teach me. And maybe it teaches me by contrast. Maybe you're an awful person and I'm like, I don't like talking to you and I don't want to talk to you anymore. And I pick up on people's energy quickly, so I have those interactions throughout the day, as well as great interactions like, wow, I want to be your friend. You're amazing. But the fact of the matter is, whatever I take away from my experience with you should never have me questioning me, Linda, because that's separate. And we tend to let other human beings come into that field or that vortex that we are created in and live in, and like poke it, and they like poke it, but actually they're not poking it. You're saying, oh, come in. It's like letting someone in your house and then letting them tell you that your freaking decorations suck and like, I hate your couch. Would you let them stay? You'd be like, okay, well, I'm not going to invite that friend over anymore. And yet we do that with our relationships. We let people come in, tell us they don't like what they see or they don't like what they're experiencing, and we don't tell them to leave. Like, go away. You have a home, go to it, constructive criticism is great, but if you don't feel good in my home, I don't want you here.
Yeah.
And I like where I live and I like my house and I've built this, and I think we need to see ourselves in a more material way to just make those connections, and I appreciate your vulnerability and sharing that story and in like showing us who you are, because you're defining that for us. Like, look, it's not all peaches and cream. I've dealt with some really hard, really difficult shit, but I love myself enough to share it with you because your opinion of it isn't going to change my path. And so you are literally emulating that concept, and I appreciate and honor like you sharing that with everyone. Thank you for doing that. I see you.
Oh, thank you. And I do that because I think that people look at, we all look at people and go like, that person has it all figured out. And there's actually a post I've been meaning to write, which I probably will. What we see, the gloss that we see in social media or even in person. Like before social media, there was always like people dressing up in their Sunday best and like their kids.
Yeah, one day a week, not every freaking day.
But like you'd see those people, you'd be like, they're such a nice family. And then, like meanwhile, behind closed doors, it would be an alcoholic family with abuse happening, and you'd never see that.
Yeah.
And these days, and I'm not saying that that's what's happening with everybody, but there is a gloss that we see from people in person and online, and even more so online because we're bombarded by it, that has us questioning like, wow, everything's going so well for this person and everything. And if you look at most of the stuff that I post, you may think, my God, like her life is perfect, like beautiful, family, gorgeous husband. Yeah, I think he's gorgeous. Like working on a show, like, wow, she has it all together. And yes, I do for all intents and purposes. And I have it way better than everybody. But as I said earlier, and what Mary pointed out, depression does not discriminate. Anxiety, frustration, overwhelm, feeling like you're not enough, feeling that you're not worthy. Those feelings do not discriminate anyone, and anybody can feel that way. And I really felt that this weekend, and I thought, wow, if I have thoughts of despair like this that still come up for me, how many other people are out there right now feeling those thoughts of despair and feeling alone? And so my mission...
Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, my mission is to let you know you're not alone, and that those thoughts are perfectly normal, but let's take them out of the normality and let us infuse our life with tools and actions that can change that. Because if it changes it for me and it changes it for you, it will change it for the people in your life. And one step at a time, we will infect positively our community and the people around us, and that spreads, and that's important.
Yeah, and taking exactly what you said, how the negative, spectrum of life, the anxiety and the things that feel heavy and harsh, depression, sadness, loneliness, all of those things don't discriminate. And I would like to shed really white light on this by also telling you that joy and abundance and trust and love also do not discriminate. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be the right size, the right height, the right hair color. You just have to be you, and you have to be human, and all of those things that we want are also available to us.
Yes.
So you can have it, and we tend to think it's for other people, well, they're rich or they're beautiful, or no, we are all things. We, in of ourselves, the way we are all things, and it's all possible.
Yes, it is. And on that note, I want to wrap us up because this has been such an incredible conversation, and I want people to watch this. If and if you're watching this and this spoke to you, please pass it along to your friends, because I think this is an important discussion. And if you want to join us for these experiments and continue to expand your vision, expand your perspective, if you want to see the possibilities that you have, and join us on this awesome little journey of the 9 experiments that prove that your thoughts create your reality, please, I'm going to post it in the comments right now. Go to our bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/soul-seeking. Join us on this journey. Join us on these experiments.
And join us as soul seekers, you guys. This is we're not going to stop when these experiments stop. We have our first episode of our show that will launch when this ends. And we invite you to be soul seekers with us. We invite you to come along with us in all that we do and all that we share, and to share your soul seeking story, and to be with us on ours, and to spread the word, and so that you can find soul seekers in your life. Yes.
And spread the word and enjoy. Yes. So, and if you've had your own experience with any of these experiments up until now, please reach out to us. Let us know. Send us a message, send us an email, get on our list, comment on our Facebook page. Just join us, because I really think that this is going to be super fun. And the more people that join us, the more fun it's going to be.
And thank you for being here, for taking the time to be with us. Thank you, Trish, for opening up. Thank you, soul seekers. Thank you, light, love, energy, thoughts, all good things for the rest of your day and beyond.
Yes, beyond.
And beyond. We love you so much.
Okay, we'll talk to you
Bye,
soon.
guys.
Bye.